I have just one more to show you here. We're almost done, so bear with me just a little bit longer. Oops, we're going to leave that out. There are also, actually, scientific models of reality that align in exactly the same way and are just other ways to say this exact same thing. The one that aligns with the dimension of space, dimension of past, and this experience of being paralyzed is known as superdeterminism. And I know that's a fancy word, but superdeterminism to me literally means already written, and is an acknowledgement of the very thing that I'm trying to point out here, that in this direction of outside myself, everything is always a reflection of the past by the time I can detect it. So it's too late. In fact, I cannot even catch up to my own body because it's always an event in the past by the time I can detect it. Under this dimension that I suggest is often misunderstood, that I'm calling present, is another scientific model of reality that I know of as the many worlds theory. And it says exactly what we've been saying, that we live in a reality where there are overlapping dimensions, there are numerous possibilities. It would say in its most honest, true, raw form that every possible outcome of events that could happen actually does happen. They just happen in alternate dimensions and alternate realities. From the standpoint of self, what it says is that I exist as superimposed parts or versions of a self. I experience a conscious, subconscious, and unconscious mind. I experience myself in all three of these ways. I experience myself in a way I know in the car as a shapeshifter, traveler, and relay. Several different versions I can give you of three versions of me that exist together simultaneously. This would also allow for the possibility, at least worthy of consideration, of such things as past lives or alternate realities or alternate dimensions. Many of us conceptualize a spirit world or life on other planets, fourth and fifth and above dimensional existence, and I can only suggest to you that it is a possibility worthy of consideration, even if you do not choose it as a belief, which belief would be over here. And so our third and final scientific model of reality that again aligns with everything that I'm saying has a number of different terms for it, all different ways to say the same thing. The one I happen to like the best is known to me as action at a distance. Other ways to say this that you might be familiar with are faster than light communication, and another, the latest, greatest version of this terminology that I've heard is something called entanglement. Another way to say all of that is potentially to say invisible connections or invisible force. And all of that, once again, is a description of this experience of gravity. If I didn't say this yet, which I don't think I did, gravity is a way to say force. It would be the gravity aspect to our experience that makes that table solid to me. And to some people, solid is a definition of real. And so a way to say that the gravity is indeed real. And so with that, what I want to do is gather all of this up and remind all of us who are still with me watching that all of this was seen from interpreting this picture that I'm trying to show us of what we're calling the space-time continuum, and ultimately what is a model for where I suggest that we all are in a dimension called time. And so there you have it, in a very brief nutshell, what I can show you in a few minutes' time,
wow.
No pun intended, of the dimension of time.
That was one packed full nutshell, I must say. Wow, that is just, well, it's just brilliant. Dave, how would you respond to someone who didn't quite or completely understand everything you just said?
Oh, good heavens, yes. Well, join the club for one thing, and if it would mean anything to you, what I showed you in only a few minutes' time, you couldn't possibly imagine how many years of channeling and remembering, studying and learning and developing went into what I was able to construct to show you and assemble for you those concepts in that brief period of time. You saw what for me was every bit of a decade of study and learning in only a few minutes' time. So I might suggest that if you found this of interest and you want to learn more, I have done my best to explain all of this in much more detail in a book called Heal Yourself in Time by David Roberts, and this would be a place you might be able to go to learn some more about all of that. So it is available to us in that form.
So, so all this is explained in the book, and the cards. I thought the cards were a game, but this doesn't seem quite like a game to me. Can you explain that?
Sure. Yeah. There are many ways to use the cards, and this is one way that I use them to try to teach what I know of as universal concepts and universal truths about the dimension of space and the experience that I call space-time gravity. There is indeed, the cards are in fact used to play, as you're calling it, a game, and they are also used as a therapy tool or a healing tool in that way, a way to assist somebody in exploring their own perceptions and their own memories and feelings and imaginings. They're also used for psychic readings. So what I've shown you today is just that the cards themselves are as many-faceted as time itself, if not more. But there is indeed a game, and you know what? I'll tell you what. Next time we do this, we'll play the game.
Great.
And we'll make a video of that so folks can see if they're interested in this thing we're calling a game. It is a wonderful way to just play with the cards and learn from them in that way, so that it doesn't have to be so serious and scientific, because it's not like that.
Right. But at the same time, it's teaching the concepts of your book.
Well, it tries. The truth in this reality is, apparently, if time is indeed a mirror, the one and only person in the universe who can teach you anything is actually yourself. So, again, what I showed you today was the roots of the game, the roots of the cards, where it came from. In the beginning, that's what there was this model for reality, and from that sprung the rest of the cards. In fact, there are quite a number more of these cards in the set than the few measly ones that I showed you today, so you might be able to begin to imagine just how much there might be to explore if you were to work your way through all 165 of these cards and interpret them together and align them with your perceptions of past, present, future, or whatever way you're choosing to do them, or just play them as a game and play them together.
Wow, and where can we learn how we could get the book? How can we get the cards?
Well, right now, still the best place to get them is from my website. You might want to just pan over here for a second. Both of those web addresses would take you to my website, either PleiadianHealing.com or TheGameOfTime.com. And just for the benefit of anybody that did watch my other video, embarrassingly enough, I misspelled my web address on the first video, so please forgive that. And the easier way to remember it might be TheGameOfTime.com.
Okay, very good, very good. Well, thank you, Dave, so much for joining us again. Yes, we'd like to perhaps play a hand the next time we meet.
We'll do that next time. Very good. Okay, well, thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Okay.